Hi, this video is going to go over one problem that uses the Common Core strategy of partial quotients when we're doing long division. And if you didn't grow up with Common Core, or if you absolutely hate it, then you'll probably get annoyed with this strategy. But if you are at all open to the possibility of seeing a different way of doing something, then I think that this strategy is actually really cool, and it allows you to successfully do long division in an easier way where you're using really easy numbers to break apart that sometimes gigantic dividend. So we'll just go through an example. You can pause it, fast forward, try it out on your own. But the idea behind it is that in traditional long division, you would take this number and you would say, how many times can I fit it into my dividend? So how many times can 32 fit into 145? And usually in the traditional way, you're doing estimating or you're guessing and checking until you find nearly an exact number that you can put as you work digit by digit through your problem. With partial quotients, you're kind of doing the same thing, but you're doing it in chunks with easier numbers. So what we will do, if you're first starting out, you want to keep it super organized. So it's a few extra steps, a few extra things to write, but then you can skip all of that and do most of it in your head. So the idea is that we do our work down the side, and we're going to say, what chunk can we multiply 32 by to get close to this number? And I'm going to start with tens. You can do 20s, 30s, 2 if you want, but tens are an easy number that you can really quickly work with. So I'll say 10. So you do 10 times 32 is 320. So you take that number and you drop it here. And just like regular division, you would subtract. And you have a new remainder. And then you do the steps again. So you say, what can I multiply times 32 to get me close to this? And so I can use 10 again if I want. So I'll use 10. 10 times 32 is 320. Do my subtraction. And I have a new remainder. And then I'll do it again, because I can keep breaking this down into a smaller chunk. So what times 32 can get me close to 810? Well, I can use 10 again. So 10 times 32, 320. And I have another remainder, so I'll do it again. But each time that I'm doing it, these are really easy mental math numbers that I can be using. So I'm not calculating big things on the side. So anyways, so I can do something times 32 again. And I will use 10. 10 times 32 is 320. Do my subtraction. And I get 170. And now I have to pause because I've been using 320, but that's too big to get down to 170. So I need to use a different number. So maybe I'll multiply by 5 or by 2 or something. So I can do, let's try 5. So if I want to do a little scratch area on the side, I can if I want to. 32 times 5 is 160. You can do that in your head if you want, but 160 works. So I will use 5. And I have my work here, so that's 160. Do my subtraction, and I get left with 10. So this last number is my remainder. I can't do anything else with it because 32 is too big. So that's my remainder. And then what I do is I'm going to add up all of these partial quotients, because these are basically the numbers that I am multiplying by to get here. But instead of writing it digit by digit exactly as I go along, I've broken it down into chunks. So my last step is to add them all together. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, and then remainder 10. So my answer would be 45, remainder 10. The way that I would check that if I wanted to go back and make absolutely sure that I did it right is I would take 45 times 32 and then I would add in my 10 to find out that it would be my dividend. So if you're not familiar with Common Core, again, this seems like a lot of extra work and it's not necessary, but if you're just starting out with long division and you're still working on math facts, then this is a way to successfully accomplish long division, just in different steps where you're breaking it into chunks. So all you need to keep track of, or what you really need to keep track of, is what you're using each time as your partial quotient. So I like the idea of underlining it, doing a little bit of extra work to write more things out, because then you keep it super organized. As you get used to this, you don't have to put this times 32, you can just put your partial quotient here. Sometimes you can combine it, so if you want to start out by doing 20, that's fine if you're good with your 20s. If you're not comfortable with 10 and you want to do 2, that's fine also. You'll just probably end up using the whole page, but that's really the great thing about it, is you can't really go wrong if you underestimate, because you can just do an extra step and an extra step. And as you get used to what the numbers are and how big they are, then you can shorten this up by using like 20 or 30 to start with. So that is partial quotients with the Common Core strategy. Thanks for watching.